Boom! Welcome back to the College Cinephile. I'm Mark Gutierrez.
And I'm Bradley Garcia.
And today we're going to be covering the sequel of the original film of the same name, Halloween.
Halloween is directed by David Gordon Green and stars Judy Greer and Will Patton, with returning roles for Jamie Lee Curtis as Laurie Strode and Nick Castle as the Shape himself, Michael Myers.
Now, Halloween takes place 40 years after the original film and tells the story of Michael Myers escaping from his mental hospital and going on a rampage in the small town of Haddonfield. Hearing this news, a PTSD-ridden Laurie Strode guns up and pursues Michael for a mano-a-mano final battle. Now, let's talk to what we liked about the movie. Now, personally, I love the plot. Firstly, the continuity for the film is very different. The director basically said, hey, we're just taking the original film and just going to this film that we're putting out right now.
Yeah, I did like that because, like I told you before, it's a smart idea because you can't follow Halloween Resurrection. You can't because, one, Jamie Lee, spoiler, Laurie dies in that movie, so yeah. you can't bring her back for this one. So.
That would have been very odd. And I think it takes a lot for the director to be like, hey, you know what, throw those other films out. We're going from the film that was originally released to my film.
Mm-hmm. And what's cool about it is how Danny McBride, it was all his idea to bring back this franchise. He went to John Carpenter himself, to ask, for his blessing, and he did. And for what they came up with, I thought that's as good as it's going to get.
Oh yeah, definitely. And that was one thing. When I was reading the people who were involved for this film, Danny McBride's name showed up, and I was just like, that's really cool. I never expect to see him in anything, in writing-wise. And when I saw it, I was like, okay, props to Danny McBride for branching out and stuff like that. But the story itself is really, really interesting. I loved it. The whole PTSD thing behind Laurie, it's really, really cool to see that.
Yeah, and I feel like because as an actor, if you look at her character herself, the way she is, I think after she went through that of the first film, no one was really there for her, and so it shows what the PTSD came about and how she became the Sarah Connor type character. Yeah.
This is any filmmaker want a female protagonist, this is how you do it. She is awesome, dude. There was a scene where she's just gun in hand going after Michael, not running away like all the other people. She's out there pursuing him, and I think that's just so cool.
And I'm glad that she came back for it because at first she declined it, and apparently Jake Gyllenhaal brought her, convinced her to be a part of the project.
Yeah, Jamie Lee Curtis came back for this one, and so did Nick Frost, the original guy who played Michael Myers in the original film. It was really cool seeing those two back together, and they love being like that. And the coolest thing was the really homage to Dr. Loomis from the original film, Halleck Bilginger. I'm gonna butcher the name. He came playing Dr. Seriton, and he really brought back Loomis's character.
I liked him. There's a certain thing with the film that happens with him that's a spoiler.
Yeah.
I could have cared less about it. I didn't think it didn't really affect the story too much, but I didn't really care about it.
The thing about it is that this movie is an homage to the original movie. You got to understand there's a scene where Laurie and the doctor are talking to each other, and she literally looks him dead in the eye and says, you're the next Loomis.
You're the next Loomis,
yeah. That line right there brought it back, and I was like, and there were a lot of scenes like that too. There were a lot of scenes where Michael's stalking around the corner. My favorite scene in the movie is possibly you saw this in the trailer where these kids are walking up, they're talking about their candy, and Michael just appears in the scene, and it's like when you hit hard on the keys on the piano, you literally feel that tension. You're probably oh crap, that's him.
Just in general, I feel like it was well shot. There's one shot that I really enjoyed, which had to deal with one of the kids. It had to do with one of the kids, but that's one shot that stood out to me. But overall, just editing wise, it was just it was well written, well they got their shot list and they knew what they wanted to film. You could tell that there was a lot of love put into this film.
Yeah, I really want to like point out Judy Greer's character. She did a really good job. I feel like there are those secondary characters that are like there for either a killing room, or they're there for just to be in the background, or just like have like an actor there to play a part. But for the part that she was given, she did really, really good at playing that.
Yeah, I didn't mind her at all. I mean, I'm glad she wasn't a pointless character.
Oh no,
it could have easily gone that route, but there was a purpose with it.
Oh yeah. And getting away from like the actors real quick, let's go to the one thing that people go to like horror movies to see, like the kills. Like they weren't that bad, like not too gory for like.
No, it wasn't too gory, but I think I like that because we've already seen that, and it didn't really work out with Rob Zombie films and the original Halloween 2. It didn't work out, but with this setting, it was perfect the way it was.
Oh no, yeah, the kills. This is very slasher-esque. Like you go to an original slasher movie, and this is the kills you're gonna see. You're gonna see quick kills, and there is like one scene where there is like gore, but like it didn't take away from like the intensity of the scene. It wasn't like, oh god, like here, let me shove like all this cow meat in front of you and say, hey, this guy died. Like there's not a lot of that. And like I said, the kills were like very, very like call back to like the slasher genre, and I like that. I definitely did like that.
But other than that, I guess final thoughts.
Yeah.
I would say, like I told you, this is as good as it's going to get. I hope they leave this alone for a good while, because I like the way the ending was.
Oh yeah, me too.
So other than that, like I hope they don't touch this for years to come.
Yeah, like after the original first movie and the second movie, this is like one of my favorite Halloween movies to come out. Like this took me like back to when I was a kid. Of course, there is like not that tone that you got from the original Halloween, but you feel like if you go from the first movie to this movie, you're feeling that age. You're feeling that age difference from when you originally saw it to now, where you're like grown up and you like kind of had time to absorb that information. That's like kind of my thing. And personally, I love this movie. I'm giving it 5 out of 5 reels for me.
I would say it would be a 4 out of a 5. Okay. There was a few things that I had problems with, but that problem I can't really explain right now because it'd be a spoiler.
I got you. Yeah, but, like, everybody has their own.
But like I told you before, one problem that some people were having were that the environment, it didn't feel too Halloweenish. Yeah. But I told you before, that's okay with me because when the first film came out, that kind of symbolized as our childhood, so it felt like Halloween. Yeah. This is 40 years later. So when you grow up, Halloween doesn't feel like Halloween anymore. It's season-wise. Yeah. So I'm glad they went with the route they did. So it's a 4 out of 5 for me.
Yeah, 4 out of 5. It was a very, very good movie.
Well, that's it for us this time. If you like what we do here, hit that like button. While you're here, hit that subscribe button and check out our other videos.
Yeah, well, that's it for us this week. Stay tuned while we wrap up spooky season with a few more flicks to come, and we'll see you later, Internet.
See you.